Doc, ano po ba itong tinatawag na brain-gut axis? Explain po ninyo sa amin.
Alright. Again, thank you so much for this wonderful invitation. So, nabanggit nyo nga kanina, ito ay bago. Actually, matagal na nating alam na may bacteria sa ating katawan. Pero yung tinatawag natin na gut-brain axis, no? Kung ano yung connection ng ating utak and then yung ating gastrointestinal system, ito yung medyo bago, no? Na naririnig natin. So when we say gut-brain axis, ito yung bidirectional connection or communication system ng ating brain at ng ating gastrointestinal system. So dati, you may notice, pag ikaw ay inimbitahan sa isang okasyon and then you are asked to speak, no? Magbigay ka ng konting speech, ano yung nararamdaman? Usually you'll say may butterfly dun sa tiyan. O pag ikaw ay stress after nung isang very engaging conversation, galit na galit ka in that conversation, na stress ka, you will notice may nararamdaman ka sa iyong tiyan, right? So there's discomfort. We call that the enteric nervous system. So may mga nerves din pala doon sa ating tiyan at ito ay connected doon sa ating brain. In fact, if you look at evidence, it will tell you na mas malaki yung communication, 80% of the communication happens from the gut to your brain. And then only 20% from the brain to your gut. So that's because of the vagus nerve. Ito yung isa sa pinakamahabang ugat, no, na nagko-connect ng ating brain sa ating digestive system. In fact, merong mga neurotransmitter na pinuproduce yung ating gut. So that means, I don't know if you're familiar with dopamine, yung serotonin. Serotonin is a happy hormone. 90% ng serotonin ay pinuproduce sa ating tiyan. Actually, ito isa sa mga common na gamot na binibigay sa mga patients na may anxiety, may depression, no, tinataas yung serotonin, no, to help them with their mood. Ito, 90% ng natural serotonin ay pinuproduce doon sa ating digestive system and only 10% doon sa ating brain. Actually, I remember si Mr. Seligman, the author of Positive Psychology, he said, most of the positive psychology is actually lies below the neck, wala sa brain, which is also true. So here, I wanted to connect, ano ba kasing nangyayari dun sa gut that will affect the brain. So you would notice, lahat ng ilalagay natin sa ating bibig eventually will end up to our digestive system, pinaprocess siya. So let's say, for example, when we eat banana, when we eat cabbage, or kung anong gulay, kangkong ba yan, and this is fibrous, no? So what will happen is, pinaprocess yan ng katawan natin. There will be end products, no? We call this the postbiotics. Ano yung nangyayari dun sa kinakain mo? Pinaprocess yon ng ating mga gut microbiome. In fact, we are more of a bacteria than our cells, no? Mas marami tayong bacteria sa katawan natin kesa sa cells. And most of our DNA actually, most of the genes ay nandoon din, no? Kasama doon sa mga bacteria na meron tayo sa ating katawan. So, when we eat food, it's processed by this microbiome, this bacteria. Some of those will end up as short-chain fatty acids kapag ang kinain natin ay healthy food at fibrous. Now, kapag kumain naman tayo ng mga processed foods, kumain tayo mostly meat and processed foods, mas nagpo-produce sila ng proteolytic bacteria. Yung proteolytic bacteria, ang end products nun ay uremic toxins na kailangan i-clear ng kidneys. Pag hindi na-clear ng kidneys, it will cause inflammation or dysbiosis. Kaya dito nanggagaling yung tinatawag natin na leaky gut or inflammation and then the immune system is also affected. So here, if you look at psychology, its connection to your gut and its connection to your brain, it's telling us that the more we eat better food, whole food, good food, it will help our mood. Kapag laging processed food yung kinakain natin, more on the meaty part yung kinakain natin, then that will also disrupt the mood because it has something to do dun sa hormones na pinuproduce ng ating tiyan at yung ating brain. So example ng mga processed foods, yung may mga added sugar, yung mga sugary beverages, soft drinks for example, yung matataas ng hydrogenated fats, processed meats, yung may mga artificial additives. Ito yung tinatawag natin na may mga artificial coloring. Minsan, pag binasa mo yung nutritional labels, hindi mo maintindihan, hindi mo nga mabasa. So what we're trying to say here is that if we want to protect our gut, if we want to avoid inflammation in the gut, ang tawag natin doon ay dysbiosis, meaning mas marami yung non-beneficial bacteria kesa doon sa beneficial bacteria, then we have to do something about it. We sometimes we call it the gut reset. Siguro yun yung pag-uusapan natin next. Ano yung pwedeng gawin and what are the signs, no, na hindi maganda yung ating microbiome. So I'll give you one hint, Miss Annie and Attorney Dot. Kapag tayo ay dumumi at meron tayong naaamoy na hindi magandang amoy ng stool, that means there's something wrong with the gut microbiome. Kailangan nating i-work out yun. Kailangan nating dagdagan yung mga fibrous foods na kinakain para mas tumaas yung beneficial microbiome compared doon sa mga harmful microbiome.
Naku, Attorney Dot, talaga naman napakagandang pakinggan.
Yes.
At nakakatuwa itong binabanggit ni Doktora. Imagine, Attorney, 90% daw ng serotonin nanggagaling sa tiyan.
Yes, Miss Annie. Alam mo, yung sinasabi kanina ni Doc na pag ikaw ay magsispeech, you feel something there, yung tinatawag na having butterflies in the stomach. So, totoo nga, no, na may connection nanggagaling dito, pero yung sinasabi ng brain mo, yung nararamdaman mo doon sa gut mo. So, Doc, okay, napakita na po ninyo yung relationship ng ating gut doon po sa brain. But meron po akong narinig po sa inyo kanina, no, na yung vagus ba yan, or vagus, okay? So please, Dr., kindly explain, ano po ba itong parasympathetic nervous system kung saan po nandun ang vagus nerve at macrobiota. Ayan, mga malalalim na po yan, pang doktor na yan, pang mga scientist na. At ano po ang role ng mga ito sa connection po ng ating mga gut at saka utak? Sige po, Doktora.
I think we have to make it simpler para mas maintindihan ng ating mga taga-subaybay. So yung vagus nerve, yun po yung isa sa mga pinakamahabang nerve na nagko-connect ng ating brain patungo sa ating gastrointestinal system. Cranial nerve po ang tawag sa kanya. So that's where the communication goes in and out of the brain. So 80% ng communication papunta sa brain, right? And then 20% ng communication is from the brain to your gut. And then you were asking earlier, ano yung parasympathetic nervous system? Actually, that's the relaxation. That's where most of the relaxation response happen. Kaya yung mga pasyente, actually, Attorney Dot, now there is what we call a specialization na itong may mga psychiatrists tayo in developed countries that are specializing on the microbiome, on the gut, no? Kasi yung mga patients who are always anxious, yung mga may depression, and then these patients na laging may irritable bowel syndrome, hindi sila gumagaling because of the medications. They use psychotherapy, by the way, and then the use of microbiome. I don't know if you've heard about the probiotics, tsaka mga prebiotics, and the postbiotics, no? So, these are really interesting topics to talk about. Yung prebiotics, galing yun sa fiber. Yun ang nagpaparami ng microbiota na sinasabi ni Atty. Dot kanina, yung beneficial microbiota. Yun ang nakakatulong sa immune system natin. Yun ang nakakatulong para i-preserve yung integrity ng gut barrier para hindi mag-leak yung bacteria sa tiyan. Dapat kasi walang nag-leak na bacteria dun sa intestine. But when there is inflammation, when there is more pathobions, meaning yung mga bad bacteria, dun nagkakaroon ng dysbiosis or inflammation.
Ako, Attorney Dot,
Ayun.
yan na yun.
Ayan.
Process.
So Miss Annie, oo, sige, go ahead.
Talaga naman. So, kanina may tinanong ako, Attorney, yung tungkol doon sa 90% serotonin na nando doon sa digestive system natin. Imagine, 10% lang pala yung nasa brain. I don't know kung tama yung pagkakaintindi ko dito. Ngayon, the more we eat better food, mas maganda po yun. Maganda po yun. Mga fibrous na pagkain. Now, may binanggit ako doon sa serotonin o kilala sa tawag na happy hormones. Totoo po ba na 90% nito na ay pinuproduce ng ating gut at 10% lang sa ating utak? pwede nyo po bang pakiconnect ito doon sa mental health ng isang tao po? And of course, yung proper lifestyle din ng isang tao. I don't know kung tama yung pagkakamada ng tanong po. Iayos nyo na lang po. Doctora, please go ahead. Thank you very much po. Doctora Michelle.
That's true, Miss Annie. Totoo yun, no? So, most of the serotonin are produced in the gut. Kaya sinabi nga natin kanina, dun sa title ng pinag-uusapan natin, it's not all in your mind. If laging nagsuswing yung mood mo, if you're always irritable, you're not feeling well, meron kang brain fogging, lagi kang nakakalimot, you almost forget many, many things, it may not just be all in your mind. You revisit your microbiome, you revisit your gut. No? So, the serotonin, the happy hormone, 90%, sabi nga ng ibang literature, 95% pa, are produced by the cells lining in the gut. And 10% lang yung pinuproduce ng brain mo. That's the happy hormone. So that regulates your mood. That keeps you motivated. Actually, maraming ibang function ng serotonin, hindi lang siya as happy hormone. So, they are produced because of the presence of tryptophan, no, nakukuha natin sa ating pagkain. That's one of the essential amino acids, meaning that our body do not produce that. So we have to eat that from external sources sa pagkain natin. So we get it from protein. Yung kamote, sweet potato, nuts and seeds, mataas ang tryptophan. And so that's why we always elaborate, no, na ano yung connection kapag yung tiyan natin hindi maganda ang composition ng gut microbiota. So there we go, yung sinabi natin may brain fogging, there will be mood swings, and then of course because of the inflammation, patients are less motivated, they cannot actually focus a lot, and this is what we see at na-observe natin dun sa mga pasyente na may anxiety and then depression. So as of the moment, Miss Annie, when we treat patients with in lifestyle medicine, when we treat patients with anxiety and depression, especially yung mga may mood swings, yung laging may nakakalimutan, wala namang dementia, pero laging ganito yung complaint, then we revisit the gut microbiome. So doon kami nagbibigay ng mga probiotics, nagbibigay kami ng prebiotics. Prebiotics are fibers na kukuha natin sa pagkain yan. Kasi yun ang kinakain ng mga good bacteria so that they can replicate. And by doing so, like I said earlier, pag na-reset mo na yung microbiome mo, you will know, Miss Annie, it's always the stool, It's your bowel habits that we always revisit and ask. Pag ikaw ba'y dumumi sa umaga, mabilisan lang ba to? Or baka hinihingal ka at pinapawisan ka bago mo matapos yan. And then you're trying to escape the bathroom right away kasi ayaw mo yung smell na nando doon. Then that means you have to do something about it. Kailangan mo ayusin yung composition ng microbiome. So, but when we go to the bathroom, when it's so easy, isang upo lang, maya-maya, mabilis lang, wala na, and then hindi ka nahihiya na may susunod sa'yo in the bathroom, then most probably maganda yung composition. So the beneficial bacteria may be higher, and so when we look at studies, this is associated with good mood, with good mental functions, and of course cognitive function.
Galing, attorney.
Yes, Miss Annie. Oo. Alam mo, Miss Annie, ang dami nang nasabi ni Doktora, na ano bang mga dapat gawin? Well, dapat kakainin mo yung tamang dapat kainin. But I want to, yung tama talaga na dapat kainin, It will have an effect on your gut. But Doktora, that's just one. Meron pa ba ikaw mabibigay na tip po sa amin kung paano po namin maaalagaan ang aming gut health at talagang masasabi natin na okay ang aking gut, hindi ako magkakaroon ng problema because I am doing the right things. Ano pa po ang mga mabibigay ninyo na tips po? Doktora?
Alright. Yes. So, we always say na mostly it's something that we put inside our mouth. Kaya natin sinasabi na let's always think what follows after swallows. But another thing that greatly affects the microbiome is the stress that we encounter every single day. So the stress can disrupt the number of the microbiome kasi nag-iiba yung secretions ng gastric juices mo. And then during stressful situation, yung cortisol hormone tumataas, the stress hormone tumataas, serotonin level bumababa, and it disrupts the environment in your gut, right? So anyone naman tayo, like I mentioned earlier, pag ikaw na-stress in that situation, nararamdaman mo there's something wrong in your abdomen, right? So again, lagi namang may stress Miss Annie and Attorney Dot. So usually we say stress is actually non-equivocal. Yung stressor ko, pwedeng hindi stressor sa'yo. So it's actually the perception of that stressful situation that will determine your reaction. So that means, etong dalawang bagay na to, it's really the food that we eat and then the stress that we have. Medications, for example, can also disrupt your microbiome, lalo na yung mga unnecessary utilization of antibiotics kasi minsan may nagagawa ng paraan, bibili na lang ng antibiotic, especially during medical mission. Miss Annie, pupunta sa medical mission, hihingi ng antibiotic, i-reserve nila yon para sa susunod, pag kailangan nila, magkasakit sila, i-take nila, so without prescription. That also disrupts the microbiome. So those three things.
Okay. Miss Annie, alam mo, yung sinabi ni doktora na talagang merong relationship yung stress dun sa gut mo,
Yes.
at saka dun sa, syempre, kasama na yung brain dyan, ano? It happened to me yesterday kasi nga, ito nga nangyari yung
nabagsakan.
aksidente dun sa aking, nabagsakan ng debris, concrete debris, yung aking apo. Okay, alam mo ba, Miss Annie, eto, hindi ako kumain the whole time, hindi ko naramdaman yung gutom. And then, stressed ako, di ba? And then, Miss Annie, pumasok ako dito sa office ko. I was just here for maybe 2 hours. Marami akong sinasagot. Dumating yung secretary ko kasi may inasikaso siya. And nakita niya ako, mag-isa sa room ko. Eto ang sabi niya, na hindi ko alam. Sabi nga ni Doktora kanina, pwede kang magkaroon ng brain fog. Kumbaga, pwede kang mag-space out kung if there's something wrong with you, your gut because of stress.
What
Sabi
happened?
ng secretary ko, ito sabi, Ma'am, wala po kayong aircon, wala po kayong electric fan, wala po kayong ilaw. I did not know na madilim yung room ko, wala akong electric fan or aircon. Nag-fog yung brain ko. Kasi there was something
Sobrang stress.
happening na siguro. Because of stress. There was something happening. And I did not feel hungry. Dumaan na yung ilang nagtanghalian. Tapos, at 2 o'clock na kasi siya dumating. Wala. And then, she was very worried. Binuksan niya yung aircon, binuksan niya yung ilaw. So, thank you to Ma'am Rev for taking care of
Attorney, at
me.
least,
Miss Annie,
kami
ikaw
na
naman.
nakukuha.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Important
Yes.
itong dinidiscuss ni Dr. Palma. Alam mo, kanina parang may guilty din tayo doon, Attorney Dot, na akala mo nakakalimot ka, parang baliwala lang yun. Akala mo related doon sa edad mo. Pwedeng related din ito sa problema natin, sa gut. Mayroon tayong problema dito, kaya kailangan ma-improve natin ito. Doktora, ano yung mga additional, practical ways pa na ma-improve natin ang gut health natin? Pwede pa ba natin makahingi kami, nagdagdag na kaalaman sa inyo, Dr. Palma, pasensya na po ha. Talagang gusto namin kayong gipitin dyan ha. Sige po, baka
Alright.
mayroon pa kayong dadagdag na mga tips
yeah.
dyan. Go ahead please, thank you.
So basically, lalo dun sa mga nakatira sa urban areas, walang panahon magluto. So usually, we just buy whatever is readily available. Yung choices kasi natin is not really 100% ours. So most of those choices will be determined by your environment. So let's say you're hungry, paglabas mo, ano yung available, yun ang kakainin mo. And most of the foods, if you go around, laging less ang fiber doon. Well, we need the fiber. We need fruits
That's
and
correct.
vegetables. In fact, if you look at the data that's relating mortality and diet, ang nakalagay doon, kulang tayo doon sa mga nutrients na nanggagaling sa prutas, sa gulay, sa fiber, sa beans. At yung causes nung sobra sa pagkain ng meat, hydrogenated fat, saturated fat, nasa baba yun. So meaning ang problema sa atin ay deficient tayo sa pagkain ng nutritious food na yun. That will enhance your microbiome kasi yun ang kinakain ng mga good bacteria eh. So if we don't feed them, bababa yung colony, bababa yung number. So mas tataas yung non-beneficial bacteria. So it's really the food that we eat, food preparation. It's not only affecting your mind or your brain, you know. So eto yung intervention na binibigay din natin, especially for patients with chronic conditions and heart disease, non-communicable disease in general. So it starts from the gut, Miss Annie and Atty. Doc.
Doktora, willing na willing po kami sa mga susunod na araw ay dagdagan pa natin ang ating pagtalakay din sa bagay na yan. We are very much interested. I think the same thing with our viewers and listeners dito sa topic na ito. Ngayon ko lang nalaman, 90% pala mga kasambahay ng serotonin na banggit niyan pinuproduce ng ating digestive system. Hindi pala brain ang nagpuproduce nito mga kasambahay. 10% lang. Attorney, yun ang pagkakaunawa ko. Attorney, so siguro ngayon mag-start na tayo maglista araw-araw. Ito yung mga kakainin natin para at least makasunod tayo na the more we eat better food, makakatulong po yan. Attorney Dot?
Yes, Miss Annie, ang galing, ang husay po ng guest po natin ngayon. In fact, I was messaging po yung UNTV staff po natin. Sabi ko, ang husay ng guest natin ngayon. And Miss Annie, yung sinabi niya kanina na yung relationship talaga nung kinakain natin dun sa of course, gut, dahil mapupunta doon, ano? Tapos pupunta yung part of that sa brain. Miss Annie, nakikita naman natin yan. Lagi nating naririnig, vegetables are good for you, the fruits are good for you, but we never understood why. And now, si Dr. Michelle was able to explain to us yung fiber doon sa pagkain na yan, vegetables at saka fruits na yan po ay importante po sa ating gut. At yan po ay konti lang ang nanggagaling po dun sa brain. Kung tayo po ay gusto nating sumaya, ayusin po natin yung kinakain po natin.
At saka, Atty. Dot, masingit ko lang, Atty. Dot.
Miss Annie.
Pati pala yung anxiety and depression, mga kasambahay, na diniscuss niya. Yung mood swing ng isang tao. So, talaga naman, doon sa mga may depression, doon sa mga may anxiety, na take lang ng mga gamot, mayroon binabanggit si Doktora na napakahalaga. Pwede niyo pong reviewin ang ating interview kay Doktora Michelle. So, at this point, Attorney, dahil kinapos tayo ng oras, pasalamatan natin. This is really a wonderful interview with you and very informative, Doktora Michelle.
Yes, Miss Annie, I totally agree with you. So at this point, papasalamatan na po natin ang napakahusay na guest po natin ngayon, Dr. Michelle Palma, the President of the Philippine College of Lifestyle Medicine or PCLM. Doctora, we would like to have you again and again. Miss Annie?
Thank you, Doc. Keep safe.
If you liked or learned from this video, please click subscribe.